Gamers truly know the value of life. No matter what, they have to stay alive, unlock any extra ones if they can, actually. By all means, stockpile those. You've got a boss coming up in the next room. And if they fail, then they restart and they do it again. It's always that. It's always about restarting. But what happens in real life when our lives run out? How do we restart? Well, sometimes we don't have to. Sometimes we get brought into the game where it's infinite and we can live on forever. Today, I will be listing 5 in-game tributes to fans who've died. Let's get into it. Starting off with number 5, we've a tribute to Eric West in the game Skyrim. Eric was a big fan of the Elder Scrolls, most things fantastical actually. He's got a portfolio on DeviantArt where you can see a lot of his work. I'll put a link in the description actually, but as you can see, he drew mysterious conjurers, a Metroid from that series, minotaurs chasing down the unlucky adventurer. He had a big imagination. And he was also a writer. There's a poem that he did. It's called Boys of War. And actually, I read it. I thought the final stanza was very moving. To veterans of war, please be aware. They've given it all. You've a few coins to spare. Neglected and ignored live on the boys of war. Here's your poppy. God bless and take care. So he obviously had a big appreciation for our military. And just like them, he too would go to battle. The enemy this time was cancer, and it was getting progressively worse. In the description of his portfolio, he actually writes that he wanted to work in game design, so it makes sense that through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, he asked to go to the official headquarters of Bethesda and see what it was like, what they were working on, and they let him do just that. The developers gave him an in-depth tour of the studios. He got to see the development of Skyrim before any of us, and apparently everyone there was really impressed with his knowledge of Oblivion. Yeah, he had all the ins and outs to it right there, ready to mention. Unfortunately, 6 months before the release of Skyrim, he passed away. Bethesda wanted to commemorate him, so they put him into the game as an NPC, Eric the Slayer. Eric being his first name, and the Slayer coming from his online alias, Imok the Slayer. And you can see that on DeviantArt. But the character in the game wants your help to become an adventurer, go out and fight the unknown. And it's clear that Eric would have wanted that as well. Number 4, we've a tribute to Wu Hongyu in the game Overwatch. Wu was a 20-year-old student at the Guangdong University of Technology in Guangzhou, China. He was really excited about the release of Overwatch. There's actually a screenshot of a group message he was a part of where he was asking if anyone else was really waiting for the launch tomorrow. That's how close he got to the release. But something was about to happen. He was on campus one day and he saw someone stealing someone else's motorcycle. Trying to stop the thief, he got on his own bike and chased that person down. The trouble is, they eventually collided, and he was greatly injured. He was rushed to a nearby hospital for his wounds, but he passed away shortly after arriving. Now, the thief was arrested, though, and this caused the local government there to award Wu with a Courageous Citizen Award for his heroism. I mean, imagine being that young and having the fortitude to chase someone down for their crimes. It really is special. Well, Blizzard Entertainment heard about this, and they wanted to celebrate him as well. So on the map Lijiang Tower, on the red side of the map, there's a row of spacesuits. The middle one has the name Hongyu. In Chinese, it's red text on the very front of it. An explorer that truly did go above and beyond. And just behind his suit is the Chinese translation for Heroes Never Die. Number 3, we have a tribute to Brian Owen Wicks in the game World of Warcraft. He was a huge fan and had been playing since he was 8 years old. His dad and cousins actually joined him as well, and this was a really nice way for them to bond. Unfortunately, at the age of 14, he had been diagnosed with osteosarcoma. This is a really nasty type of bone cancer. And while battling this, his parents would bring his laptop into the hospital whenever they could, so he could play it. And it really was the best distraction he could ask for. Well, in 2012, through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, he asked to see the official headquarters for Blizzard Entertainment, and they agreed. Take it a step further, and while he was there, they let him design his own place in the game. Yeah, it's called Owen's Wishing Well, and it's on the northern tip of the Jade Forest in the Pandaria expansion. He had complete control over what they included, so all the little critters there and the items that you see, the birds and the style they're in, the frogs, the takeout boxes on the stone there, the chopsticks down below. It builds a real sense of comfort when you come here. There's also a coin lying there that your character can throw into the well, and if you do, you get a buff called Made a Wish, and it lasts for 10 minutes. And quite simply, it just means that your character feels lucky. Run with that however you like. Now, luckily, Owen did get to see the finished well himself and really explore it during the beta version of the game, and it must have felt incredible to see the impression that you've made on a universe that means so much to you. But unfortunately, it was a week and a half later after that, at the age of 16, that he finally passed away. And this was a really brave and modest kid. When discussing his cancer, he actually said that it was his oncology team that was actually fighting the battle. He was just the battlefield. So, strong words from a humble warrior. Number 2, we have a tribute to a young man named Evan in the game Fallout 4. But for this to make sense, I have to back up just a little bit. There's a Reddit user by the name NewJXLV2, and he wrote a post thanking Bethesda for coming out with Fallout 4. The game had been a wonderful distraction for him and his brother, Evan, when they had been dealing with the death of their father. And this hit both of them very hard, but in the Automatron DLC, NewJ created a robot companion that he named GR36, and if you spell that out, it looks a lot like Greg, which was the name of his father. And so he was able to continue exploring the wasteland with his dad. And, that alone had been so touching that Bethesda sent him and his brother a care package filled with all kinds of Fallout goodies. So it had shirts and bobbleheads, the full soundtrack of the game, controllers, even a stuffed Deathclaw. The trouble is, there's a lot more bad news to come. NewJ's younger brother, Evan, shortly after, had been taken to the ICU for diabetes-related illness, and he was only 24. And now, NewJ updated his Reddit post with how his brother was doing, but ultimately it wasn't good. He had fallen into a coma, and then not long after had passed away. It was absolutely heartbreaking that he had gone so quickly after his father, and this obviously wasn't easy on NewJ. But again, Bethesda delivered. In their final form of DLC, Nuka World, they made an NPC devoted just to Evan, right, with the same name. And the community now actually refers to him as Good Guy Evan because he's probably the nicest person you're ever going to meet in the Commonwealth. He's super friendly, and he insists that you take his supplies, most notably the recipe for Nuka Love, and this is going to restore your health and your action points. And NewJ actually has gone on to say that you shouldn't feel guilty for taking his stuff, because apparently in real life, Evan really would have given the shirt off of his back to those in need. And number 1, we have a tribute to David Ackett in the game Dying Light. David, when he was a teenager, had to get a liver transplant. And it was successful at the time, but the problem is there's a rare type of cancer that can form in the lower abdomen as a complication after such a transplant. And this is what happened to him. But what makes his story so touching and also eerie as well is that you can hear him talk about it. He had a YouTube channel called Bad Wolf Gaming, no spaces, and you can still see all of his videos. Mostly they're funny highlights from the games that he was playing at the time, but there are 2 vlogs close to the end that describe the cancer battle that he was going through. And it's difficult to watch because, well, he was only 17 years old when he passed away, but also he has such a polite personality. The second to last vlog is him essentially apologizing for uploading slower because of his health issues and trying to reassure his audience that he's going to be back soon. And he does it with a smile, and he does it with a light-hearted comedy that you're just not going to see from people in that situation. It really is something else to watch. However, when he was going through the worst of it, he was playing the game Dying Light, and he absolutely loved it. He even mentions in his final video that he wants to try and put in at least 1,000 hours played into the game. Well, after he died, his friends sent that last video to the developers of the game, and they were just moved beyond words by that. The company is Techland Games, and they worked with David's family to create something that they really thought would be special. It's a mural that you can find in the game on the side of a building, and it says, "In memory of Bad Wolf, true fighter." And the text wraps around a nice photo of him. It's his sweet side and his tough side as well by the wolf. So if you find it, make sure to kill all of the zombies around the place, because he would have liked that. And there you have it, 5 in-game tributes to fans who have died. If you're interested, I'll put links to their media or to the articles that I read when researching their lives in the description below. And it's a nice way to commemorate them, so thank you very, very kindly for watching. I know it's not easy, but it is nice to think that the games we love so much are thinking about us as well. And who knows, maybe I'll be seeing you in Sovngarde as well.